Shalom, greetings. What an awesome opportunity it is to be before you this day, to share with you the word of Yahuwah. We are in the end times, and there is a famine for the word of Yahuwah. And we know that man cannot live off of bread alone, but every single word that proceeds from the mouth of Yahuwah, Elohai Yisrael, the Elohim of Israel. Therefore, we must heed the warnings that have been given to us by the prophets of old and by the Messiah, Yahushua, whose name means Yahuwah saves. Let us go to YaHuWaH, which is Isaiah the prophet, and start reading in chapter 24 to discern what is about to take place in the earth. This is what it says, chapter 24, verse 1. See, Yahuwah is making the earth empty and making it waste, and shall overturn its surface, and shall scatter abroad its inhabitants. What a powerful revelation. And it shall be as with the people, so with the priest. As with the servant, so with his master. As with the female servant, so with her mistress. As with the buyer, so with the seller. As with the lender, so with the borrower. As with the creditor, so with the debtor. The earth is completely emptied and utterly plundered, for Yahuwah has spoken this word. Again, the earth is completely emptied and utterly plundered, for Yahuwah has spoken this word. The earth shall mourn and wither, the world shall languish and wither. The haughty people of the earth shall languish. All this pride about your flesh, all this pride about your perversion, all this pride is about to be humbled and brought low, because Yahuwah is going to shake the earth violently and destroy the inhabitants of the world. Listen clearly. For the earth has been defiled under its inhabitants. The inhabitants are unclean, defiled, disgusting, putrid. Why? Why? Because they have transgressed the Torah. The word Torah is plural for Torah. The word Torah is used to describe the books given to Moses by Yahuwah. It is the Torah of Yahuwah, often called the Torah of Moses. These are the instructions of Yahuwah. And the people have changed what is clean and put what is unclean in its place. What is Kodesh, or set apart, they have mixed with something putrid and defiled. They have transgressed the Torah. The Messiah of Israel has said clearly in that day that he will say to you, I do not know you. Depart from me. I never knew you. Depart from me, you workers of iniquity. That word in the Greek is 𝐤𝐄𝐄, which means without law, without instructions. Depart from me, you who are without law. I have never known you, because he is the word made flesh. He is the Torah made flesh. This is important to understand. And then it says further, they have changed the law, broken the everlasting covenant. They changed the law. You know, the little horn, the man of sin, is the Pope, the papacy, the Vatican that come forth from the beast. And it says that he would think to change the laws in the appointed times, the Moedim. And today the whole world keeps the Gregorian calendar and are convinced, billions of people convinced, that they should observe Sunday, the first day of the week, instead of the eternal Sabbath. Many people have been confused by this whore system to believe that they should keep Ishtar, Easter, which is the name of a Babylonian sex goddess, instead of the Passover, the Pesach, and the first fruits of barley, which is when the Messiah rose from the grave. He died on the Passover as the Passover lamb, the Lamb of Yahuwah, and rose as the first fruits offering on the day of the wave sheaf of the barley. This is very important to understand. So the scriptures tell us very clearly that they have transgressed the Torah. These lying false prophets tell you you can break the commandments, break the covenant, that you can break the Torah, that it's all the same, that clean and unclean, it doesn't matter. None of this matters anymore. None of this is relevant anymore. But Yahuwah has said that we must be set apart, or Kodesh, because he is set apart and Kodesh. So we must be, therefore, and we must adhere to the commandments and not listen to these lying false prophets who tell you that you can eat the unclean thing. The scripture says, do not touch the unclean thing. Come out from amongst them, says Yahuwah. But yet, the lying pastor and the lying false teacher tells you you can do anything, it's all the same. That's not what Yahuwah says. Who are you going to listen to? The lying false prophet who says you can do anything, or Yahushua who said that he will say to you, depart from me, I never knew you, you who work iniquity or lawlessness, you who are without the law. They have broken the everlasting covenant. The whole people of the earth are going to be destroyed concerning breaking the law of Yahuwah. Therefore a curse shall consume the earth, and those who dwell in it be punished. Therefore the inhabitants of the earth shall be burned, and few men shall be left. And burning is the penalty that is given to a witch in the scripture, those who practice sorcery. And what does the book of Revelation say? They will not repent of their drug sorcery or their pharmakia. Not just talking about pharmaceuticals, of course, but their magic, their potions, their sorcery, their evil spells, their enchantments, all these things they're going to be judged severely for. But one of the primary things is this pharmakia, this drug sorcery. And this is one of the reasons why it says that few men shall be left and they're going to be burned. The new wine shall fail, the vine shall languish, all those glad at heart shall sigh, the joy of the tambourine shall cease, the noise of those who rejoice shall end, the joy of the lyre shall cease. No more do they drink wine with song, strong drink is bitter to those who drink it. The deserted cities shall be broken down, every house shall be shut and no one enters. There is a crying for wine in the streets. All joy shall be darkened. The gladness of the earth shall be gone. Just like the book of Revelation says that peace should be taken from the earth. The city is left in ruins, and the gate is stricken with destruction. For thus it is to be in the midst of the earth amongst the people, like the shaking of an olive tree, like the gleaning of grapes when the grape harvest is done. They lift up their voice, they sing of the excellency of Yahuwah, they shall cry aloud from the sea. And this passage reminds me of the book of Revelation, where the 144,000 that are sealed with the sacred name of YaHuWaH, Yahuwah, in their forehead. The forehead's where the pineal gland is. That is where the dreams, the meditations, the reflections, the imaginations, the thoughts come from here and the heart. So there's a very powerful revelation that they're sealed in the forehead with the mighty eternal name of Yahuwah. And it says, and they sing the song of Moses. And of course we know that when the Israelites crossed over the Yam Suf, the sea, the Red Sea, and Yahuwah allowed them to walk across the dry ground, and then he destroyed Pharaoh and the Egyptians in the sea, that Moses and the Israelites sung the song of the sea. And one of the key parts that I want you to remember in the song of the sea is this. 𝐤𝐄𝐄 YaHuWaH li Yeshua. 𝐤𝐄𝐄 means my strength and song is Yah, and he has become mine unto Yeshua, which is salvation. And this is the name this is the word by which Yahushua gets his name. The combination of Yahuwah or Yah and the name Yeshua, or word Yeshua rather. And this word Yeshua means deliverance, and it appears over and over and over. Just 2 chapters later, Hoshea, who's the son of Nun, the son of Nun, becomes Yahushua in Exodus chapter 17, because it is a reflection of this very song. 𝐤𝐄𝐄 YaHuWaH li Yeshua. My strength and song is Yah, and he has become mine unto Yeshua, unto salvation. And this is the song. This is important. This is a mighty, mighty revelation for these days. They're going to sing to Yahuwah. Sing to Yahuwah a new song. Go to your secret chambers, your closet, and sing to your Father who is in secret. Let a new melody come from your heart. Let words spring up from your own heart, from your own mind. They can be words from the scriptures, words from the Hebrew scriptures, the Psalms, all these things, and begin to sing to Yahuwah and rejoice before Yahuwah. Listen to what it says. From the ends of the earth we shall hear song, splendor to the righteous one. But I say, I waste away. I waste away. Woe to me, the treacherous betray. With treachery, the treacherous betray. We are entering into a time of treachery. You see treachery all around you. Treachery in politics. Treachery in religion. Treachery in relationships, in the families. Everyone is treacherous. Every man's hand is against his neighbor, and every man's hand against his brother. Yahushua says in the end times that your enemies will be the enemies of your own household. This is a time of treachery. Judas Iscariot is there for a reason, because those who break bread with you will kick at you, and they will sell you out and betray you. They will kiss you on the cheek. Meanwhile, they are handing you over to the system, to the beast system. You have to be careful in this time of treachery and betrayal. Fear and the pit and the snare are upon you, O inhabitants of the earth. It shall be that he who flees from the noise of the fear falls into the pit. Why does this happen? Because they fear the noise, they fear the commotion, instead of having their fear on Yahuwah. Remember the passage that says, do not say a conspiracy like all the people. Sure, there are conspiracies all around you, obvious conspiracies. However, Yahuwah says, let Yahuwah be your dread. Let him be your fear. You tend to draw to those things that you fear. The scriptures say, that thing which I feared came upon me. Therefore, if you fear Yahuwah and he is your praise and he is your song, then you are drawing him to you. You stand in awe of him. You fear him. You give him reverence. Get on your face before him and tear out your heart before him continuously in these last days. And that is how Yahuwah will lead you. That is how he will direct you through these end times that we are in. It says, and it shall be that he who flees from the noise of the fear falls into the pit, and he who comes up from the midst of the pit is caught in the snare. For the windows from on high shall be opened, and the foundations of the earth shall be shaken. So if you escape the pit, you're going to fall into a snare. This is why you have to be focused on Yahuwah. You have to have your heart and mind singular and be totally focused and consumed with Yahuwah. And so that he can deliver you, he can lead you, he can guide you through the noise of the pit and the destruction and all these things that are coming. The earth shall be utterly broken. The earth shall be completely shattered. The earth shall fiercely shake. The earth shall stagger like a drunkard, and it shall totter like a hut, and its transgression shall be heavy upon it, and it shall fall and not rise again. And in that day it shall be that Yahuwah punishes on high the host of exalted ones. This is talking about the Malachim, the messengers that left their first estate. And on the earth, the sovereigns of the earth, all you politicians, you kings, you leaders, all of you people who rule over the people, you are going to be dragged down into the pit. This is what it says. And they shall be gathered together as prisoners are gathered in the pit, and shall be shut up in the prison and be punished after many days. And the moon shall blush and the sun shall be ashamed, for Yahuwah Sevaot, Yahuwah of hosts, shall reign on Mount Zion. There's this great controversy about Zion now, because Yahuwah is rousing the people and getting them angry. He's putting hooks in their jaws, and he's going to drag them down to the battlefield and destroy them. That's what's going to take place. He's going to rule and reign from Har Zion, from Mount Zion, and in Jerusalem, and before his elders in esteem. Now let's go over to Yeshayahu, Isaiah chapter 13, and read a similar set of passages. Now it says in verse, we'll start in verse 1, the message concerning Babel which Yeshayahu son of 𝐤𝐄 saw. Now we know this happened already, but because of Mystery Babylon, the system of the beast in these end times, this is also a prophetic overlay for what is going to happen in the end times. So listen carefully. Lift up a banner on the high mountain, raise your voice to them, wave your hand, let them enter into the gates of the nobles. I've commanded my set apart ones. I've also called my mighty men for my displeasure, my proudly exalting ones. The noise of an uproar in the mountains, like that of many people. A noise of uproar of the reigns of nations gathered together. Yahuwah Sevaot, Yahuwah of hosts is gathering an army for battle. They are coming from a distant land, from the ends of the heavens. Even Yahuwah and his weapons of displeasure to destroy the earth. Yahuwah is coming with his chariots of fire, the scriptures say. How, for the day of Yahuwah is near. It comes as a destruction from the Almighty. Therefore all hands go limp. Every man's heart melts. And they shall be afraid. Pains and sorrows take hold of them. They are in pain as a woman in labor. They are amazed at one another. Their faces aflame. See, the day of Yahuwah is coming, fierce with wrath and heat of displeasure, to lay the earth waste and destroy its sinners from it. For the stars of the heavens and their constellations do not give off their light. The sun should be dark at its rising, and the moon not send out its light. And all these false prophets regurgitate each other's words, and they have you looking for blood moons and eclipses, and all these things are very relevant. Yes, they're for signs in the heavens. We know that. However, these guys have you chasing these lying signs and wonders. They don't understand. Yahuwah says that he takes those signs in the heavens and he uses those to drive the diviners mad. Remember that Nebuchadnezzar asked for all the stargazers and the astronomers and astrologers and soothsayers and witches and warlocks to produce the dream. Tell me the dream, he said, and then I know that you have the power to give the interpretation. And none was able to do it except for Daniel, because he called on Yahuwah, and Yahuwah revealed it, not through signs like stars and blood moons and eclipses, no, but by the living word of Yahuwah. So these people, they're trying to discern these things, and you hear them regurgitate the same old message, and they get it wrong, and they get it wrong again and again and again, and Yahuwah is going to make the stars in the heavens go dark, So you lying false prophets don't have an opportunity to continue to try to divine lies and divine the future. Divine the future with stars and signs that you don't even understand. Come on. It's so ridiculous. My people should know better. We know that the stars and the blood moons, we know that those are signs of the end of the coming judgment. We know that the eclipse is a sign of the coming judgment. My goodness, but think about it, brothers and sisters. If you need an eclipse to show you what we can clearly see all around, and that is the wickedness, the evil, and the day of Yahuwah approaching rapidly, the treachery, the betrayal, the pride, the haughtiness, the perversion, the disgusting filth all around you. You can see it. You don't have to see signs in the heavens. If you see those things, you know what time it is. Listen carefully to what it says. And I shall punish the world for its evil and the wrong of the crookedness, and shall put an end to the arrogance of the proud, and lay low the pride of the ruthless. And I shall make mortal man scarcer than fine gold, and mankind scarcer than gold of Ophir. Are you hearing these words? There's about to be a massive population reduction in this world. The New World Order thought it was in control, that it could pull the strings and it could do it the way that it wanted to. But Yahuwah has a plan greater than theirs. He's going to shake the earth and destroy them, and they have no idea. They're going to be brought down to the pit. So I shall make the heavens tremble, and the earth shall shake from her place, in the wrath of Yahuwah of hosts in that day, in the day of the heat of his displeasure. And it shall be as the hunted gazelle and as a sheep that no man takes up. Every man turns to his own people, and everyone flees to his own land. Whoever is found is thrust through, and everyone taken falls by the pit, and their children are dashed to pieces before their eyes, their houses plundered, and their wives ravished. We need to sober up and listen to the word of Yahuwah and prepare ourselves, to prepare our hearts and minds to be a habitation for him. That's part of the Song of the Sea. Moses said that he was going to prepare a habitation for his Elohim. The wording there in the Hebrew literally could imply that he is the habitation, because we are to be a habitation for the spirit, the wind and breath of the Ruach HaKodesh, to lead us and guide us and direct us in the way so that we shouldn't depart from it, to give Yahuwah an everlasting name in these last days so that we can be his remnant. Now let's go over to chapter 2 of Isaiah. Yeshayahu chapter 2. There's a lot here. There's a lot here. I recommend you read the whole chapter, but I'm going to, for time's sake, go to verse 9. And the lowly bows down and the high is humbled, therefore you do not forgive them. Enter into the rock and hide in the dust because of the fear of Yahuwah and the splendor of his excellency. The lofty looks of man shall be humbled. The pride of men shall be bowed down. And Yahuwah alone shall be exalted in that day. For Yahuwah Sevaot, Yahuwah of hosts, has a day against all that is proud and lofty, against all that is lifted up, so that it is brought low, and against all the cedars of Lebanon that are high and lifted up, and against all the oaks of Bashan, and against all the high mountains, and against all the hills that are lifted up. And here I am on top of this mountain. You can see the mountains all behind me here. And Yahuwah has a controversy against these mountains. They will be humbled and brought low, so that only Zion is lifted up, the Kodesh mountain of Yahuwah, where the Torah will go forth. Hallelujah. This is very important to understand, that they will be brought low. It says, and against all the high mountains, against all the hills that are lifted up, and against every lofty tower, and against every strong wall, and against all the ships of Tarshish, and against all the desirable craft, and the loftiness of man shall be bowed down, and the pride of men shall be brought low, and Yahuwah alone shall be exalted in that day. No one else. None of your leaders, none of your political leaders. I see banners with politicians' name on it. Lift up the banner of Yahuwah with his name. Lift up the banner of Yahuwah in these last days and stop putting your trust in man. Yahuwah is offended by you putting your trust in a man. Yahuwah alone shall be exalted in that day, and the idols completely pass away, and they shall go into the holes of the rocks. The idols are going into the holes of the rocks along with the elite. They're going to go hide themselves. Listen to this. And they shall go into the holes of the rocks and into the caves of the earth. We already know that they're building for themselves doomsday caves and doomsday places and bunkers in the earth. These elitists that think that they're going to escape the wrath of Yahuwah. And it says, and from dread of Yahuwah and the splendor of his excellency, when he arises to shake the earth mightily. In that day man shall throw away his idols of silver and his idols of gold, which they made each for himself to worship. To the moles and the bats, to go into the clefts of the rocks, and to the crags, the rugged rocks, because of the fear of Yahuwah and the splendor of his excellency, when he arises to shake the earth mightily. Cease from man whose breath is in his nostrils, for in what is he to be reckoned upon? These are powerful words of the Elohim of Israel that must be taken extremely serious. But there is hope, brothers and sisters. Let's go to Joel chapter 2, and we're going to start in verse 27. And you shall know that I am in the midst of Israel, and that I am Yahuwah your Elohim, and there is no one else, and my people shall never be put to shame. And after this it shall be that I pour out my spirit on all flesh, my ruach, my breath on all flesh. And your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. And your old men will dream dreams, and your young men shall see visions. That is the time that we're in now. It's going to happen in even greater fulfillment in the future days, in the coming time. However, even now, Yahuwah is pouring out his Ruach HaKodesh and giving us visions and dreams and leading us. And we can hear his voice directing us and giving us the message even now. Yahuwah, who is great and mighty, is stirring up his people. And listen to what it says. And also on the male servants and on the female servants, I pour out my ruach, my wind, my breath, my spirit in those days. And I shall give signs in the heavens and upon the earth, blood and fire and columns of smoke. The sun is turned into darkness and the blood and the moon into blood before the coming of the great and awesome day of Yahuwah. And it shall be that everyone who calls on the name of Yahuwah shall be saved. It shall be that everyone who calls upon the name of Yahuwah shall be saved. That word Yimelet means to narrowly escape. It doesn't just mean to be saved, it means to narrowly escape, to barely make it. And it says, listen to what it says, for on Mount Zion, every mountain will be lowered, so that Mount Zion can be exalted, the Kodesh mountain of Yahuwah. That Yahuwah's mountain be lifted up, and that his name be made great. For on Mount Zion and in Yerushalayim and Jerusalem, there shall be an escape, as Yahuwah said, amongst the survivors whom Yahuwah calls. The great controversy now where all the people are calling for the death of Jerusalem and to destroy Zion is because of a demonic manifestation where they are being raised up and roused up to come and fight against Yahuwah's people. He has hooks in their jaws. He is dragging them down to the battlefield so that he can feed their flesh to the birds. He has a great day that he has planned way in advance for all these things. Then if we keep reading in chapter 3 verse 1, for look in those days and at that time when I turn back the captivity of Yehuda and Jerusalem, then I shall gather all nations and bring them down to the valley of Yahushua, which means Yahuwah is judge. And I shall enter into judgment with them there for my people. Why? For my people. My inheritance, Yisrael, whom they have scattered amongst the nations, and they have divided up my land. The great controversy in these end times is Yahuwah, the Elohim of Israel, but it's also the people of Yisrael. And Yahuwah will fight for his people, and he's going to bring all the nations down to the battlefield to destroy them. And that's what you're seeing right now, the manifestation. They are being prepared for the moment, for the time, so that they can be annihilated. Now we're going to skip down to verse 9. Proclaim this amongst the nations, prepare for battle. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of battle draw near, let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Hasten and come, all you nations, and gather together all around. O Yahuwah, let your mighty men come down here. Let the nations be aroused and come up to the valley of Yahushua, for there I shall sit to judge all the nations on every side. Put in the sickle, for the harvest has grown ripe. This is talking about the sickle for the great gathering of the cluster of grapes that will be trodden down in the winepress of Yahuwah's wrath we read about over and over and over. Yeshayahu 63, also in the passages in Revelation over and over. Put in the sickle for the harvest is grown ripe. Go down for the winepress is filled. The vats overflow for their evil is great. Crowds, crowds in the valley of decision, for the day of Yahuwah is near in the valley of decision. Sun and moon shall become dark and stars shall withdraw their brightness. And Yahuwah shall roar from Zion and give forth his voice from Jerusalem. And the heavens and earth shall shake, but Yahuwah shall be a refuge for his people. The name of Yahuwah is a strong tower that the righteous go into and are saved. Hallelujah. It says Yahuwah will be a stronghold for the children of Israel. Listen to what it says. It says, Yahuwah shall be a refuge for his people and a stronghold for the children of Israel. Then you shall know that I am Yahuwah, your Elohim, dwelling in Zion, my set-apart mountain. And Jerusalem shall be Kodesh, shall be set apart, and foreigners shall not pass through her again. And it shall be in that day that the mountains drip with new wine, and the hills flow with milk, and all the streams of Yehudah shall be flooded with water, and a fountain flow from the house of Yahuwah and water the Wadi Shittim. Mitzrayim shall become a ruin, and Edom a ruin, a wilderness because of violence done to my people, the people of Yahudah, whose innocent blood they shed in their land. But Yahudah shall dwell forever, and Jerusalem to all generations. And I shall avenge their blood that I have not avenged. And Yahuwah shall be dwelling in Zion, in Zion, the Kodesh mountain of Yahuwah. See, Yahudah shall dwell forever. Yahuwah established the house of Yahudah, and he is calling forth the scattered tribes of Israel even now, so they will turn to Yahuwah and seek him while he may be found, and call upon him while he is near. Listen to this. I want to read to you this. I wasn't even going to share this verse, but I'm going to read to you now in Deuteronomy, and wrap up this message. Listen to this. This is what Yahuwah said to the children of Israel in Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 26. I shall call the heavens and earth to witness against you on that day, that you soon completely perish from the land of which you are going over the Jordan to possess. You do not prolong your days in it, but are completely destroyed. And Yahuwah shall scatter you amongst the people, and you shall be left few in number amongst the nations where Yahuwah drives you. And there you shall serve mighty ones, the work of men's hands, wood and stone, which neither see, nor hear, nor eat, nor smell. But from there you shall seek Yahuwah your Elohim, and shall find. And when you search from him with all of your heart, when you seek him with all of your heart and with all of your being, in the tribulation, when all these words shall come upon you in the latter days, in the end times, then you shall return to Yahuwah your Elohim, and shall obey his voice. For Yahuwah your Elohim is a compassionate El. He does not forsake you, nor destroy you, nor forget the covenant of your fathers, which he swore to them. Yahuwah is going to redeem his people. It says that these things will happen in the latter times. Yahuwah prophesied before they even came into the promised land that they would worship idols of stone and wood, and for that reason they would be exiled and be scattered amongst the people. And in those lands, when they sought Yahuwah with their heart, soul, and mind, they would find him, and he would gather them once again in the end times. And we are in the end times, and Yahuwah is awakening us, the remnant of Yisrael. He is awakening us and putting in our hearts, writing in our hearts the Torah, just like the Brit Hadashah says, the renewed covenant spoken of first in Jeremiah, in Yirmiyahu chapter 31. This is the new covenant that I make with the house of Yahudah and Yisrael in those days. And Yahuwah goes on to say that he is going to write the Torah in their heart and in their inward parts, so that they perform his word. And for this reason, he is going to forgive their sins, so that he can make them set apart, and that they can be his people once again. And all this I bring to you this day, so that you will prepare yourself, because Yahuwah, the Elohim of Israel, is going to shake the earth violently. And the only way to find favor with Yahuwah is to beseech him for the favor of his own name.